Okay, our first case file, we've got a 40-year-old woman. She's 12 weeks pregnant, and she's come into the ER with some pretty alarming symptoms. The ultrasound is bizarre. The report describes a snowstorm of cysts filling her uterus, but there's no fetus to be seen. So the big question is, what's the karyotype? The specific genetic code, the chromosomes, of this tissue. Okay, so a ton of people guessed 69XXY. But the right answer is actually 46XX. Now, wait a second. That might seem really weird, right? Because 46XX is a typical female karyotype. So what on earth is happening here? The diagnosis is where it all makes sense. So the patient has what's known as a complete Hydatidiform mole. It's a rare and very sad complication of pregnancy. It happens when an egg, for whatever reason, has lost all of its own genetic material. It's basically an empty shell, and then it gets fertilized. And here's where the genetics get wild. For a complete mole, a single sperm with an X chromosome fertilizes that empty egg. Then the sperm's DNA just duplicates itself. The result is tissue that's 46XX, but 100% of its DNA came from the father. That incorrect answer, 69XXY, that actually describes a partial mole, which happens when a normal egg gets fertilized by 2 sperm. It's such a tiny distinction, but it changes everything about the diagnosis. All right, you ready for our next puzzle? This one's about a very young patient, a 1-year-old little boy, and he's in a whole lot of pain. You see this awful, painful swelling in his hands and feet? It has a name, dactylitis, and it's a classic textbook early sign of sickle cell disease. Now, we know this disorder makes red blood cells warp into a crescent shape, which causes them to just fall apart. So with all those cells breaking down, what lab result would you expect to see? That's way off. Okay, so a lot of people picked serum C4, which has to do with the immune system. But nope, the right answer is serum haptoglobin. So what in the world is haptoglobin? And why is it the key here? I love this analogy. Just think of haptoglobin as the body's dedicated cleanup crew. When red blood cells burst, they spill their main ingredient, hemoglobin, all over the place. Haptoglobin's one job is to swoop in and sponge all that free hemoglobin up before it can do any damage, especially to the kidneys. So let's connect the dots. Sickle cell causes this massive breakdown of red blood cells. That releases a flood of hemoglobin into the bloodstream. The body panics and sends in all its haptoglobin sponges to clean up the mess. But there's just so much hemoglobin to clean up that the body's entire supply of haptoglobin gets used up and its level in the blood just plummets. And that's the telltale sign. The mistake is looking for something to go up, when the real clue is the protein that's disappearing because it's working so hard. Okay, our final case file. This time we're dealing with an infection. We have a 6-year-old boy who comes in with what looks like the world's worst sore throat. But there are some signs that this is something much more sinister. The diagnosis is diphtheria. We know the bacteria behind it releases a super powerful toxin. But the question isn't that it's harmful, it's how it's harmful. What is this toxin actually doing on a cellular level to cause so much damage? A really common guess is that the toxin just blows a hole in the cell's outer wall, right? I mean, that makes sense. A lot of toxins do that. But the diphtheria toxin is way more subtle. It's an inside job. It doesn't attack from the outside. It gets in and sabotages the cell's internal machinery, specifically by shutting down its ability to make proteins. This is actually kind of brilliant in a terrifying way. Think of the toxin like a tiny, sinister Trojan horse. It has 2 parts. The B part is basically the key that tricks the cell into letting it inside. Once it's in, the A part is unleashed. It's a saboteur. It finds one specific, critical piece of machinery on the cell's protein-making assembly line and just shuts it down. With that one piece broken, the whole factory grinds to a halt. The cell can't make new proteins to function or repair itself, and eventually it just dies. So we've put on our white coats for 3 really tough cases. But the real lesson here isn't just about getting the right diagnosis. It's about understanding the process of how we learn, how we get from being wrong to being right.